Okay, Mr. Denver, now that I've finished my inspection, our homeowners tell us they really appreciate understanding what caused the issue in the first place. So here we have an example of a floor framing system. So what you have here is columns. These are made out of cinder block. And then beams. And then the last part is floor joist. So with a sinking column, this is something that typically occurs due from wetting and softening of the soil. Picture your columns are like this. Now one side is starting to sink in. What do you think is going to happen to the rest of the building material around it? Right, it's going to sink and settle. The other issue is inadequate structure design. So this is where you have overspanning of the joist. In today's building science, they say the code is 16 inches on center for floor joists. That means the space in between the middle of the 2x8 and the middle of the next 2x8 is 16 inches. Overspanning of the joist means it's greater than the 16 inches. And then lastly, we have moisture and rot. So over time, as moisture comes up from the stack effect into your floor framing, it actually starts to rot, and as it rots, it shrinks and it's causing a sag. Now, symptoms that we look for are cracks in drywall, similar to what you showed me when I first got here today. The other is floor separation. And that's, I believe, what you called about. I was reading through the notes and it said that you noticed a gap under your baseboard in your kitchen. The other is cracked tile. And then lastly is sticking doors. When I first walked in, you told me to be careful when I shut the door because it does get caught on the rug if I push it open all the way. And at one point it did close properly. So it sounds like you may have a sticking door, or we could see that actually. Now, of these issues that I've shown you, which one of them do you think is actually causing your problem? Yeah, I don't disagree. It probably is a combination of the moisture and then some wood rot. I did take some photos down there that we'll go through and I can show you exactly what's going on. All right. So historically, there have been options for repair for this. The first one is do nothing. Do nothing and monitor it. Now, you don't want to do nothing? Okay. Yeah, I mean, moisture and mold will continue to grow if you do nothing. Your floor framing system will continue to deteriorate. And the problem obviously could get a lot worse. And in a scenario like this, getting a lot worse also will make it a lot more expensive. The next is to replace your cinder block columns with new cinder block columns. The main thing with this is it's not going to address the cause, which is the soil. The other part to that is it has no ability to actually lift the floor framing, and over time the problem's going to continue to get worse. Now, does it make sense to replace what you have that's already failed with what you have? The next option is shimming. Now with shimming, it looks like someone has done this. I have a few photos down there already. So on top of the columns, they put a piece of wood. That wood compressed and it looks like another piece of wood was added. That piece compressed and another piece of wood was added. Similar to the game Jenga. Now let me ask you, Mr. Denver, do you really want to play Jenga with your house? I didn't think so. And then the very last option is a light duty jack. Now, Mr. Denver, when you lift a car, what do you use? That's right, a jack stand. Now, once the car is lifted, how do you support the car? You're right, you put jack stands under it to actually provide the support. Now let me ask you this. Do you feel safer under a car on a jack or on the actual stands? Yeah, I was taught the same. Never go under a car that's just on jacks because the jack can fail. And here we have an example of a leaning jack that has fallen over. Now, of these 4 options, do any of them sound like something you'd be interested in learning more about? Okay, great. Now let's get into the groundwork solution. I'm going to start by playing this video that our engineering team has put together on a high level, and once the engineer is done with his short clip, we can get into this a bit further. Does that sound good? Okay, great. All right, so the first step is we're going to come in and we're going to put in a footing. Now, our engineering team and production team will determine exactly what type of footing we will use. Oftentimes we use the wheel here. So what it's going to do is to provide the support for the new foundation support. So picture a woman's high heel, right? A stiletto heel. Now picture a snowshoe. So a snowshoe, as you're walking through the snow, is going to distribute the weight a lot more evenly, and you're not going to sink into the snow. But if you walked out into the same conditions with just a high heel, what's going to happen? That's right, you're going to sink right into the snow. So here we have our settle stop foundation support. Brad, I got it. Now with that, we're going to attach the settle stop support system to the wheel, and that's going to provide the base. Once it's installed, once we have that in place, we're then able to adjust the nut. Now that's under your main carrying beam. The other area in the kitchen where you have this sag, we're going to use a supplemental steel beam to go under the joist, and then we're going to put settle stop foundation supports under that to support the steel beam. From there, I'm going to put on your quote the 5-year promo so that we can come out once a year and benchmark on whether or not the your floor framing has moved. What that means to you is this isn't a one and done solution. We're going to continue to monitor and make sure that the home hasn't moved, and if it has, we have the ability to adjust the nut. And that's what we have here. The nut is being adjusted, and that's keeping everything in place. Now, we talked earlier about the moisture issue. Once the crawl space has been encapsulated, we will be sealing the encapsulation material to your settle stop foundation support. And now we've changed the environment so you don't continue to have the issues that we've just resolved. Now, what questions do you have for me? Yeah, that's a great question. So below this, we actually have a padding of crushed stone, clean crushed stone, construction stone. So it truly is offering the support that under the stabilization under your floor framing that you need. That was a great question. Okay, that's it. All right, so now that we have everything together, let's get you on the schedule.